T.I.'s son, King Harris, has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected to his act.
We've seen celebrity scandals shake the world before, but nothing this savage. Tonight, King Harris fights for his life in intensive care after what insiders call a cold-blooded beatdown inside a Georgia prison. This wasn't some minor brawl. This was a full-on ambush that left King bloodied, broken, and barely hanging on. Reports say the scene looked like something out of a gangland movie. Guards rushing in, alarms blaring, inmates turning wild as chaos swallowed the block. King was dragged out under armed escort, barely conscious, as officers struggled to pull control back from a melee that nearly blew the whole unit apart. Right now, the Harris family is said to be in full meltdown.
Trying to coddle him for. Let the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
Scrambling for answers and desperate to protect their son. And don't get it twisted, this wasn't random. Multiple insiders claim King was set up, a calculated hit carried out with brutal precision. Some call it revenge, others say it was a public message that no amount of fame, no amount of family money can shield you once you're inside those walls. As the news spread, the internet lit up like wildfire. Twitter threads, Instagram lives, and TikTok breakdowns all exploded with speculation. Rumors are flying that King had already been targeted weeks ago, with whispers from someone close to the Harris circle saying he was marked for humiliation long before fists ever flew. Insiders close to the prison say King wasn't just disliked, he was straight up hated behind those walls. Word is, inmates saw him as cocky, flexing his family's fame and acting like he owned the yard.
Yeah, so him being arrested isn't really like the shocker, it's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, you know, it just, he.
Anonymous voices from the inside claim he was warned over and over. Watch your back, you're too loud, too flashy, and too soft for real prison life. But instead of backing down, King kept pushing, and now those warnings have exploded into violence. The fallout for the Harris family is nothing short of frantic. Sources say T.I. hasn't slept a single night since the attack, working the phones nonstop, begging attorneys, politicians, and even old industry allies to pull strings in the Georgia Department of Corrections. One Atlanta insider swears he's already put blank checks on the table, ready to pay any price, sign any deal, even bury the truth with ironclad NDAs just to snatch King out before the next blow lands. It's wild to picture the self-proclaimed king of the South reduced to desperation like this, but that's the brutal reality.
I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for Family Hustle. Right. That does come with some, you know, it's some adversity. It's some adversity to come with that. People get in your business.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Tiny is reportedly running her own war room, juggling lawyers and publicists like it's a crisis campaign. But behind closed doors, their so-called united front is cracking apart. Friends whisper that T.I. and Tiny's arguments have gotten so vicious, nobody's sure if they're fighting to save King or just tearing each other down while their son's life hangs by a thread. But things are getting way darker than just a bruised ego or a slick remark, because whispers inside the prison walls say this wasn't just beef, it was business gone bad. The rumor mill is spitting out talk of a failed contraband hustle. Some say King refused to play ball. Others swear he tried to outsmart the wrong crew and got caught finessing where he shouldn't. So was this just a petty spat that spiraled, or did somebody line King up for a straight ambush? Multiple sources close to the situation claim there's proof he was lured into a certain part of the prison.
I graduated. That's the only good thing they posted of me going viral. I'm not on the media's good side. I don't know why, but it ain't.
Where 3 inmates were already waiting, and somehow, at that exact moment, the cameras malfunctioned. Convenient, right? The Department of Corrections is denying any glitch. But a former road manager for T, I laughed it off saying, it's Georgia. Cameras break when they need to break. That's all you need to know. Meanwhile, King's condition is still shaky, and the Harris family drama is spilling online in real time. We've seen them close ranks before, but this is different, way more desperate. Fans can't forget that Wild Falcons game where T.I. physically put King in a headlock on Instagram Live after another messy argument about how he was raised. You could hear him barking, "You're embarrassing yourself and your family." While security rushed in and Tiny scrambled to calm things down, that scene was supposed to be rock bottom. But now, with King laid up in a hospital bed, whispers of betrayal, and the family's dirty secrets blowing across social media like wildfire, it's looking like that public meltdown was just a rehearsal for the chaos we're seeing now. Behind those prison walls, King's situation was shaky from day one, but now insiders say it's turned downright toxic. Multiple sources claim inmates were clowning him non-stop, dragging up his parents' messy scandals, especially the still whispered trafficking accusations that have haunted T.I., Tiny, and even King himself.
Steve Sadar reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadar that my clients want justice. So if the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and T.I.
To make it worse, King reportedly fueled the fire by trying to flex online, posting slick lines, calling out rivals, and hyping himself as Atlanta's next big star. But the old heads weren't having it. One former inmate cut through the noise with a blunt warning: "We don't care who your daddy is. If you don't pay up or you run your mouth, you get dealt with." That's prison law, no exceptions. And now King's learning that reality the hardest way possible. On the outside, T.I. is burning every bridge he's got left trying to save his son. Sources say he's threatened to go public with explosive claims about George's prison conditions, even hinting at lawsuits. At the same time, his PR team is said to be planning stories with friendly outlets, flipping the script to make King look like the victim of a corrupt system instead of the architect of his own downfall. A move straight out of the Celebrity Crisis playbook. But here's the question that keeps echoing through this storm. What if none of it works? What if this isn't just a bad break, but the cold reality of raising a son who believed he was untouchable?
You can, you know what I'm saying, kind of woosah yourself outside of the public opinion.
The fire around King Harris just keeps raging. And now 3 different industry veterans are whispering the same thing. The family's dirty legal baggage may have painted a bullseye on King's back inside those walls. His name has already been tangled in the shadows of those never-ending trafficking allegations aimed at T.Y. and Tiny. And let's not forget Sabrina Peterson, the ex-friend who lit that scandal up in the first place. She's publicly threatened to drop receipts that would supposedly drag not just the parents, but King himself deeper into legal quicksand. The feds might not have pressed charges, but in the court of public opinion, that stain never washes off. And just when one scandal starts fading, another one surfaces. Rumors are flying about a secret deal. King's name scribbled onto a contraband ledger, promises broken, whispers that he either snitched or refused to pay up. Whether it's wild prison gossip or the ugly truth, insiders agree on one thing: cross the wrong person in there and you pay in blood. Stack that on top of his privileged background, his reality TV fame, and his parents' never-ending controversies, and it's no shock King has become the perfect lightning rod for every grudge inside the block. Inmates don't just see him as another prisoner, they see him as a symbol, a target, a way to send a message. Meanwhile, things at home are spiraling just as hard. Behind closed doors, T.I. and Tiny's marriage is looking like a powder keg ready to blow. Friends whisper Tiny's been pleading for a softer approach, blaming the system and bad influences, while T.I. is coming in hot, snapping, pointing fingers, and demanding they stop babying their son. Now convinced that only raw power and high-level connections can save their son, sources say T.I. and Tiny are staring down the darkest crisis of their lives. Insiders insist this moment is heavier than the reality TV cancellation, uglier than the LA lawsuits, and even messier than that infamous Falcons headlock incident that had the world clowning their family. The emotional toll is ripping them apart. Every argument, every late-night phone call, every panicked move, dragging the rest of the Harris clan straight into the blast zone.
So the dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting has gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this: a lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public.
Step back for a second and the stakes couldn't be higher. King, once the spoiled wild card of the Harris dynasty, is now trapped in a brutal reality where his famous last name means nothing. With every new headline and every frantic call from his father, The question hangs in the air. Are we watching the making of a redemption story or the collapse of a family empire? And here's the chilling part. Insiders warn the most shocking details of the attack still haven't surfaced. The whispers say what really went down behind those concrete walls is far worse than the public's being told. It's like watching a slow-motion car crash, the shiny facade of celebrity privilege being shredded by the cold, hard truths of prison life. Because inside those gates, none of it matters. Not the fame, not the money, not the name. In there, loyalty is currency and respect is survival. And King Harris, just like countless others before him, is discovering that the rules are written in blood and broken promises get paid back in pain. Yesterday's fame, yesterday's music charts, none of it buys you protection when you're living by prison law. High-profile inmates aren't protected. They're exposed like raw meat in shark-infested waters. In prison, survival comes down to alliances and respect. And the haunting question now is this: did King's celebrity status seal his downfall from the moment he walked in? That ambush didn't just blindside him. It's shaken the Harris dynasty to its core, forcing them to face threats they never imagined were lurking. Insiders close to the chaos say this was never only about King as a person. It was about the weight of what he represents.
I really admire his dedication and commitment to the craft, because, you know, I kind of told him, you know, what was wrong about it.
He walked through those gates carrying not just the Harris name, but reality TV drama, tabloid notoriety, and the rep of being TY's wildest son. For men locked in doing real time, that kind of spotlight is like blood in the water, sparking jealousy, payback, and politics. Multiple correctional officers have whispered off the record that inmates like King get turned into pawns in faction wars, bargaining chips and power plays between rival crews. One source who did time in the same Georgia system said it flat out. They see an outsider with headlines and they want to send a message to the world and to the block. Now layer in the rumors of a failed contraband hustle, the constant cloud of Harris family scandals, and it's clear King was swimming with predators from day one. But it's not just fists and ambushes. This is psychological warfare too. From the jump, King Harris's privileged upbringing painted a glowing target on his back. Inmates didn't just see another prisoner. They saw the kid who grew up with private schools, flashy music videos, and top-tier lawyers on call while they were grinding just to survive. That resentment boiled over when King started flexing tough talk inside, acting gangster, standing on business, when everybody knew he spent more time in reality TV studios than on the block. To the men inside, that kind of front wasn't respect. It was disrespect.
Making mistakes. I ain't had no daddy who would pull up and get on my ass anytime. Things I did, you can't get away with.
I know that.
This isn't new either. It's a pattern with every high-profile inmate who tries to walk the walk. Fame inside prison turns into a curse, a kind of institutional hazing that fuels jealousy and retribution. We've heard the same playbook from rappers, athletes, and actors who've been locked up. If you walk in with a silver spoon, it doesn't matter how you hold it, because to the wrong crowd, it's still a liability. And that's the tragic twist with King. His whole life has been spent trying to outrun that privilege, to build a harder persona separate from the gates and cameras of the Harris Empire. But the harder he pushed, the deeper the backlash hit. Insiders say those efforts to prove he was cut from the same cloth as street legends might have been the very thing that sealed his fate. In interviews and viral live streams, King never backed down from the narrative. He rejected claims he had a safety net and insisted he learned the codes the rough way, dropping his signature line, "I stand on business." But the reality, as every industry vet knows, is that credibility isn't about what you say, it's about what you survive. Respect in the streets isn't handed out at some family cookout, it's earned through scars and survival. And the sad truth, the ones who push the hardest to prove they're real often end up paying the steepest price. So the question now is clear. Did King's desperate quest for authenticity drag him into circles that were never gonna accept him anyway? Was this the classic story of a young man chasing credibility in a world designed to chew him up?
Yeah, damn. Yeah, that's I ain't see that one coming. You know
Really?
what I mean? Nah, I didn't.
The result has been a brutal crash between image and reality. In the months before prison, King was swinging between explosive outbursts and fragile vulnerability. Friends say he was living on edge, acting like every day was another test he had to pass. We all remember that viral Falcons game fiasco. T.I. snapping, wrestling his own son into a headlock on Instagram Live after King shot back about being raised with a silver spoon. What looked like embarrassing family drama now feels like an omen, a red flag waving in plain sight. King fought hard to break away from that cushy upbringing, styling himself as a wildcard rapper, posting cryptic shots, flaunting chains, and taunting critics with bold, "Still got my chain," bravado. But behind the filters and captions, insiders say he was restless, boiling with anger, and maybe, just maybe, completely in over his head. That double life didn't just confuse his fans, it made him the perfect target. To predators inside the prison system, King wasn't just another inmate, he was bait, a flashy young name they could break down to boost their own reputation. And now we're seeing just how dangerous that spotlight really is. The prison attack on King Harris didn't just shake his family, it sent shockwaves through the entire system. Correctional staff, legal teams, even rival inmates are weighing in, all asking the same burning question. Was this a random eruption of prison violence, or was King targeted as part of a larger pattern to break celebrity inmates before they gain too much power inside? The comparisons are already flying, lining his name up with other high-profile cases where fame turned into a curse behind bars. Insiders say administrators are now scrambling behind the scenes, trying to move King to another unit before the next strike comes, partly to protect him, but also to stop rival inmates from using his notoriety as leverage in their own prison politics. But outside those walls, the Harris family war is playing out in real time for the world to judge. T.I. is still fighting tooth and nail for an early release, calling in every favor, every connection, but the louder he pushes, the more public the backlash grows. Supporters flood the comments calling for compassion, while critics slam the irony of it all. A kid raised in privilege, now paying the steepest price for chasing a mask that never truly fit. It's a twisted parable of fame colliding with reality, where every new headline blurs the line between victim and architect. So which is it? Was King shoved into this storm by the impossible weight of his family's legacy? Or did he run headfirst into danger, thinking fame made him untouchable? Behind the scenes, lawyers are burning the midnight oil, trying to spin the story, but the Harris family can't even agree on the next move. Some relatives are begging for caution, terrified that pushing too hard will only make King more of a target. Others argue that silence is surrender, demanding they go louder, fight harder, and flood the media before it's too late. Meanwhile, the rest of the Harris kids are caught in the crossfire, dragged into everything from messy paternity whispers to old family feuds that refuse to stay buried. Every leak makes the chaos worse, whether it's an anonymous prison guard spilling details or a so-called friend of the family cashing in with gossip. The line between private heartbreak and public scandal has nearly vanished, and what's left is a circus where pain and speculation collide for the world to pick apart. And let's be real, King's case is shining a brutal spotlight on how the system operates. Fame doesn't shield you. Money doesn't shield you. If you can't play by the cutthroat politics of prison life, you get chewed up and spit out just like everyone else. No amount of celebrity muscle can erase one truth. In prison, the only real currency is power. What started as a scuffle over respect has snowballed into a fight for survival, not just for King, but for the entire Harris dynasty. T.I. is still hustling behind closed doors, trying to outmaneuver a system that's already swallowed countless lives. But the chain reaction from this attack feels like it's only beginning. And with King still clinging to life after that savage beating, the Harris legacy hangs by a thread. So here's the million-dollar question. Are we witnessing just the first chapter of a much darker saga for the Harris family? Could this attack unlock secrets and rivalries that no amount of spin or money can ever bury? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think King is just another casualty of family fame, or is something even deeper fueling this storm? Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications, because when it comes to the Harris family, the drama never sleeps. Stay sharp, stay curious, and until next time, keep your eyes open, because you never know whose story is about to take a shocking turn.